So I've got a new guitar. This is an Ibanez acoustic electric guitar. The model is a TCY10. I think there's an E at the end of that to say it's an electric acoustic. It is absolutely wonderful. And I'm not just saying that because it's a pretty guitar. I'm saying it because it plays wonderfully, it tunes wonderfully. And Ibanez has done a really nice job of even adding a couple extras that I don't normally expect to get with a guitar, and that is they give you an additional bridge, they give you an additional bridge pin, and of course a truss rod adjustment. Now, it did need a truss rod adjustment and some tuning when I got it, but really this is just a perfect little acoustic guitar for someone who likes electric guitars. It's a little thinner, it's got a little different feel to the neck, more like an electric guitar than an acoustic guitar. But for me, I think that's absolutely wonderful, and it was exactly what I was looking for. In fact, it was one of the big drivers for why I picked this guitar. I wanted something that was more like an electric than an acoustic, and yet still had the electric capabilities. This is not a new guitar in terms of to the market. Ibanez put it out, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. Lots of reviews online on it. I watched lots of them before I picked it up. I got a lot of good information about it. People were giving kind of pros and cons, and so there is some stuff that people felt differently perhaps than I did. But the one thing that I would address, when I was watching the reviews or listening to the reviews, it made me a little concerned that they said, you know, it's a very soft guitar. You don't quite get the volume out of it that you might expect or want. I'm not hearing it that way. I think I've got as good a volume out of this thing as I get out of any of my other acoustics. And so I think it plays absolutely wonderful. I think it sounds wonderful through the electronics. And of course, when you put electronics on it, you're hearing your electronics, not necessarily anything special about the guitar. The piezo works great. It sounds great through my electronics. Pretty much the same as any other acoustic guitar that I'd be playing. Now I'm going to put a little run up and down on the guitar so you can see what's going on. This is pretty much as it came out of the box. Like I just adjusted the truss rod, tuned it up, and it's running exactly as it came out of the box. The only real flaw that I found on it is there's a little bit of a ding on the sound hole. I suspect maybe when someone was putting electronics in, something caught or got banged. Tiny little flaw in the coating on the guitar, whatever you want to call the finish. Not enough for me to worry about. I'm sure I'll be banging this thing up more than whatever happened in shipping. In fact, I would almost say this is a little prettier guitar than I really like. I'm not a huge binding fan, especially on the fretboard. It's very nicely done. It feels wonderful. The frets feel wonderful, nothing to complain about there. It's just a little flashier than maybe I'm used to. But then I did get this to be a little flashy. There's a beautiful blue color. It's got a black around the edge, the pretty blue, a little racing stripe around the sound hole. But absolutely lovely guitar to play, and it feels much more electric than most acoustics. The idea of playing open chords, of course, nice and easy. Bar chords, absolutely no issues whatsoever. And everything sounds quite good. Now, I will say there's a little tinny sound when you're playing it. I'm going to blame the strings for that right now. I don't think that's really the guitar so much, but I think the strings are just a little bit tinnier than I like. And I've seen this on other guitars that I've had. I usually swap over to a standard set of strings that I use, and it takes away that sort of tinniness. I'll let you know if I see anything else. But I do have a game plan for this guitar that's a little different. If you watched some of my previous videos, you've probably seen that I've been tuning a lot of my steel acoustic guitars into nylon string guitars. I've been kind of fascinated by this. This looks like a beautiful case in point for switching over to a nylon string. So I'm going to probably try that and see what happens. So do stay tuned and catch what I'm doing. I have one complaint about acoustic guitars in general, and this is no different. They do use a very short fret. And I happen to like taller frets, like an acoustic or like an electric guitar would have. And I was sort of hoping it would be a little bit of a taller one. They're certainly, sufficiently high and sufficiently nice to use. But I would sort of like a taller fret if I had my choice. But overall, just a beautiful sounding guitar, and really nothing that I would complain about in terms of playability. The action is quite low, it's quite nice. I don't think I would put any effort into lowering it at all. I think the action is just exactly the way I would like it. I would say it's very comparable to, say, my Taylor. Now, I worked on my Taylor for a while to get it to the action level that I wanted, and I would say out of the box, this is very, very close to exactly what I like. Not that I can convey to you what I like, but it just feels very, very nice. If you get a chance to try one of these guitars, I'd picked this up at Guitar Center. They're not extraordinarily expensive. I think door to door, it was just under $300. You can get them a little bit cheaper, but basically they're going to be in and around that price point. Just a very, very nice guitar. Come in all kinds of colors. There's all kinds of different looks on them. The blue really caught my eye. I thought it was just a very pretty color and a very pretty guitar. And I wanted a pretty guitar this time. Something that I can muck around with and kind of just enjoy, not just to play, but to look at as well. So I know it's a quick review. I'm not trying to spend a lot of time on this one, but I will talk about it much more when I do put the nylon strings on. So if you're interested at all in this idea of swapping nylon strings onto your steel guitar, we'll see how this one works. This one's brand new, so no mileage on it. We'll see how it bears up under the new set of strings.